Hello, and welcome to another video from your host, Keobastein. Alright, so we're going to try to keep this like a small video, or at least I'm going to try. What I'm going to do is actually kind of review a few patch notes, by a few, most likely two, because those are the ones I'm either feel confident having a commentary on, or I'm actively, well, I didn't even say actively because I'm not actively really playing this game. So, alright, without further ado, first, we're not going to do a whole review of patch notes, and I'm also not going to do side-by-side comparison or like load up the game to bring up. I'm just going to kind of give my opinion. So first, why am I doing this? Because one, I've been trying to diversify my channel by not just keep uploading me playing games and then just do K-TEINs. I've been trying to want to do some additional stuff, such as like maybe replay analysis of some of my games or other people's games and whatnot and everything. And since I also want to start getting to a position where I can at least maybe start commentary more on games, on game like such, yeah, be more of an information person. Yeah, I feel like this is a good run for whatnot. So first, what are we doing? So we're going to be looking at all-race changes from a person who is not really actively playing the game, but I at least kept looking at it. So definitely do not take this as a don't take my opinions as anything to even go very hard or strong on, because I am not an active player. I have not been playing this game actively, and I'm definitely not the strongest Anre player. Sorry, I'm not even. I won't even go say I'm strong. I'm just a person who's versed. I guess at best lower mid. I say I'm lower mid level. I want to say I was mid. I want to gas myself up, but alright, I'm not that great. But in any case, let's take a look at this, because there's not even, unfortunately, a whole lot of Anre players out there or people who's focusing on Anre. So, hey, why not be the person that's be the change, like they say. So, for starters, previously Anre could lock foes down using frame advantage from certain skills in its SBA. As part of this round of adjustment, we shifted that power towards mid-range pumps and whip punishes. So, and that was why I also kind of wanted to do this, because the thing is, there's definitely a video out there that kind of basically says, that kind of basically, let's say for all intents and purposes, rightfully call me out, how like, well, you know, I'm trying to play Anre as a zoner, but if I'm finding more success with him playing as a rushdown character, then that's kind of what you just need to do and whatnot. And I definitely had some issues with that, because I'm not a rushdown player and such and whatnot, and I guess kind of like, lo and behold, it looks like even the developers are like, well, yeah, we realize Anre can really do some pretty good rushdown tactics, and we kind of want to pull that back. So a lot of time when I felt Anre was weak, it's because I wasn't tapping into his rushdown, because like, yeah, his whip punch and like zoning game isn't all there. And it looks like that's what they're going, but let's look a little more. 7 Spirits of Lightning has been abducted, so now it loses spirits upon taking damage. Rightfully so, because it's one of the installs that lasts the longest. It makes his pokes confirm far more easier, and then he gets high rewards off pokes, because it launches opponents off. They're plus on block and everything, and it makes every single of his pokes, besides like light attacks, launch a spear and whatnot. And this makes his corner carry, which is a very viable tool to have, very strong. Like, this is like a very strong equalizer install and whatnot. Now, maybe the question is, should all installs like be very strong equalizers and whatnot? At least for the past, like, mostly there was a lot of risky reward. Like for starters, Fairy had her install, she has her install, and it's like she does a lot of damage, but she gets a lot of versatility for it and whatnot. But once again, she loses a lot of her damage. Anre's install was just stupid, kind of gave him a lot of stuff. Like, even when I felt they buffed it the last time, which was around the Versusa patch, even I felt like this might have been overkill to some extent and whatnot. And even when I learned a bit more about it, it's like there was a little more underlying thing. Like, I think one thing people don't even know is when you use his Skybound art, he actually gets some slight throw invincibility, which even gets him still a strong throw bait option as well and such. So yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna say it's like it was a game changer, but it's like there was a lot of untapped potential. So yeah, them like realizing, hey, we need to pull this thing back. Yeah, I kind of agree with that sentiment and such. In addition, aerial Montreal Real block recovery has been standardized to be -3 across all versions. And honestly, I'm kind of glad for that. Like, I like the move. Like, it was. Sorry, I like this move personally. I didn't like how people were using it, but I did like the move. I like how it brought me on an angle. It was a fast downward angle attack that, hit a couple of times. It wasn't really unsafe with the different versions he's had and whatnot until now we got -3, which even still, that's not unsafe. It's maybe around command grab characters and whatnot, but it got a lot more. Like, there was a lot of reason to just do it. Though technically, the H version kind of outshined every single person, every single version. So, one thing to know about me as a person, I like when every move has like a somewhat purpose in its kit. I'm not a fan when something is so strong that it overshadows other tool sets personally and whatnot. So I'm always in the camp of pulling some tools powers backwards so I make other tools shine, or even uplifting other tools to have some type of quirk or niche so it has some purpose and whatnot. I don't like when something just overshadows every single thing else. That's just not my thing. So them working towards that is something I am a fan of when it comes to air mantra reel and whatnot. Making it harder to force strike through 50-50s. It now launches on hit, creating new routes for letting pressures or fallouts when using the H version. So basically, they now made it so that the reward on it is, the risk is now you don't get to keep your turn on it, and on hit, you don't get to have either a pressure reset nor a full standing combo. So his combo damage is definitely weaker, but then again, it wasn't really a combo tool and whatnot and everything. But I do think that this makes it nice for like me who like to use Mantra Reel like mid screen just as like a good poke in general, because I think people did underestimate how decent of a poke air mantra wheel is, at least the light version, because it's very quick. It doesn't move already too much forward, so it's not too crazy, and it wasn't too dangerous on block. Well, now it might be more dangerous because it's -3 on block, as opposed to like the light version, which I think was maybe -2, -1 actually. Like, I don't think people could really punish that and such and whatnot. So going forward, Spiral Spear has been tuned to improve its combo potential. The M version now launches on hit, allowing for follow-ups even from Astral Piercer. For the U version, already now step closer to the foe, resolving an issue where it would whiff at close range. So this one, when some people looked into this, like at least I believe it was Brick was looking into this, we all kind of went like, what did this kind of mean? Like, they were trying to make like this was always a redundant version of his Rekka like moves follow up in a sense. Like, it was kind of, I'm not gonna say redundant, but it had limited application. At best, it was something you could kind of frame trap with, but you almost had almost all other better frame trap options to some extent. Now, it was a move I like to use often when I was doing pressure, because while the go-to option for the Spiral Spear Ender was the heavy version, which was basically like a tackle move that did a lot of corner carry, you didn't really get a whole lot of knockdown time from it unless you were in the corner already itself. But then again, it was still ideal to do mid-screen because it did most damage, gave you most meter, and it had most corner carry. So it was just kind of almost always the go-to version. I like doing the medium version because if I didn't care for the corner carry or damage and I want to keep at least a better, easier time of chasing my opponent, the medium version like knocked the opponent down, but they were much more closer that I can run some kind of offense. Now that the medium version is going to launch higher, I don't know if that's going to, they said they're going to allow more follow-ups. I don't know what type of follow-ups it may allow, but if it at least gives Anre a better opportunity to set up his post knockdown game, I think that's still going to be kind of good, because one of Anre's good, Anre like has okay tools. I would say okay tools post knockdown. At least I feel he does. From both close, heavy, his sliding, like doing some meaty stuff and whatnot, to Anre and whatnot. The U version of Spiral Spear, I definitely had issue where when people were too close that the move would just kind of whiff. I mean, I kind of personally did say that was more of a poor timing on my part, and I kind of just felt that maybe that was just not the purpose of that move. Like it did kind of stop some people going up close, but I just assumed that, yeah, I'm just using this move improperly. But it seems like they do want people to use it as like, hey, just use this move to stop people from just closing in, or at least make it a lot more of a reliable tool to use. And honestly, this is the reason why I'm kind of like the biggest fan of the changes they're doing towards Anre so far. One part, Anre did need to get nerfed. As like even me as a bad player, like when I first initially was like, yeah, I don't see how Anre can be good. But when I kind of like just kept seeing how the meta was forming and watching from afar, yeah, Anre did need to get nerfed. Like he definitely had some things that just he had good rush down tools where he really shouldn't have that really good of rush down tools, in my personal opinion, and whatnot. And one reason why, because it did made it feel like, yeah, you could play a zoning / whip punish game with him, but his rush down was so good, you just kind of ignored that. Now there's more of a incentive to do that because you can't rush down as hard anymore, and whatnot. And then that. It's not that I'm also against a defensive character having good rush down ability. It's rather he was also really safe on his offense. Like a lot of his offensive tool wasn't dangerous. So it's like having good plus on block as well. Like having good hit confirm and plus on block moves that also wasn't terrible on damage. I'm not gonna say it was blowing people up, but wasn't terrible on damage either. It's like, yeah, some of these things could be made weaker and whatnot. Like if they would have made the Spiral Spear light follow-up not be so plus that he could get standing combos, I would have been against that. If they would have made H Rashaka not launch in the air, I would have basically hated that. The fact that he get combos from his parry was also like, damn, okay. So it's like, yeah, he could have got, and well, now Spiral Spear also now has more of a stronger niche now that they kind of take away some of his, let's say, rush down abilities and whatnot. Like Spiral Spear, like now, if you want to have your ability to keep your plus frames while being safe, alright, that's where you gotta use your Spiral Spear. Like he actually has a risk and reward choice, which this is kind of what you really do want in your game. You want your characters to have to make decisions, or players make decisions where, okay, I'm going to use my meter so I can have my install that going to lose me of my meter options, but now I get to have the advantage of having plus frames and easier convert tools instead of Anre just having that meter list almost already with his ES moves. So I think those are good designs in my opinion and whatnot. So I am not against that personally and whatnot. So consider me a fan of that. We also used to start out on L Rashaka to bolster mid-range control and adjusted the L fleeting spark to make it more effective and neutral. Now, we're going to go ahead and just go a little further down. I'm definitely going to go into that. But for first thing, one, jumping H now hits twice. Damage has been changed from 1,000 to 5,000. The second hit can be blocked crouching. 7 spears of lightning will fire after the second hit. So this is kind of this change is kind of like, okay, what does this really kind of do? Hold on. Alright, sorry about that. Alright, so this change is, I read about this and I've been thinking about more and I'm like, alright, what does this change really do? Because jumping H has been a normal that I just haven't I wasn't always in love with it. I always felt like, damn, I wish it kind of had a little something more and whatnot, because it definitely was not the go-to normal to jump in with for a good portion of the cast. It was definitely good for some frame kills, I think, for some players, but otherwise, jumping in, not that, wasn't all that great, honestly, and whatnot. Making it 2 hits is interesting. For me, personally, like, for me, it's something I personally like, because it makes hit confirming a bit easier, but if you were to ask me, is that something that Anre even needed more of? Not necessarily. Like, I don't know if this even changes the frame data to be more active. Like, does it make the attack more active, or is it still at the same amount of active frames or not? Because it doesn't mean he can just jump up and just swing this button out like willy-nilly or whatnot and everything. It does also mean that even on air counter hit, that the rewards is going to be even worse, technically. But the fact that now the 7 spears of lightning will fire after the second hit makes me think this was more directed to be, hey, because there's another move that has the same feature. His steady H, when he has his install, when he does his standing H, is only after the second hit does it send this secondary spear out. So it doesn't send the spear out. So if Anre cancels the first attack and now let the second one hit, he retains the spear and gets to still take some form of action afterwards and whatnot. And for some scenarios, that might be more ideal if he wants to, if he doesn't feel he needs to use his ammo count on his spear. So I think primarily that's what that is for, and I don't think it really does too much anything else, at least, and whatnot. Like, I don't know if it really is going to help his jump-ins or throws, in my opinion. At least that's what I think. But alright, arm the bastion advancing now stops from place when inputting U or evade after successfully parrying full attack. Basically, Anre has some more influence on his parry, which is nice. I mean, the parry master character should have better influence. Sometimes he may parry something that puts him not in the best advantage scenario. Granted, that I also wouldn't hate if that change also didn't happen, because that just means Anre should be more mindful how he uses his parry. One with spear. Now, this is already, I thought that was already kind of like a pretty good option already. It's not invisible until the second active frame when activated after successfully parrying with Arm the Bastion. So this is probably more of a quality of life, because when he used one with spear, he will have invisibility all up until his attack first active frame starts. Now, it will probably be possible that people could maybe still either option select or at the very least force clash scenarios, which then put Anre in a precarious situation. And I'm guessing this is why they want to do 2 active frames, so Anre can maybe still keep, so maybe Anre can still maybe bypass certain clash scenarios. At least that's my idea when they got this change. Now, this is one I kind of want to get to. El Rakshasa. The hitbox of the base of the spear has been expanded upwards while the foe is in hit stun. It makes it harder to win when used as part of a combo. Okay, I think I kind of like that, because generally Anre's combo game will require Anre to either use a parry or spiral spear, and which is one of the reasons why, even though that's another reason why I didn't like use spiral spear as like always a plus on block move, because I always kept it as this is my move to like either end combos with and whatnot and such. So yeah, I kind of just felt like it wasn't always worth it to spin spiral spear ES so I can keep combos going and whatnot, or to get some form of a follow up I want. El Rakshasa now being El Rakshasa could work in combos, but it was generally only for in combos and certain anti-air scenarios and whatnot. So them making hitbox in the air better, that does mean it can be more used as a combo tool, and I think its frame advantage is not that bad when used as a combo. At least I think so. The starter has been reduced from 22 frames to 19 frames. Now this I'm kind of a fan of, because I think this basically is leaning to we want people to use this a lot more often. Whatnot. Rakshasa was already like a pretty strong move because it can delete projectiles. It was a good poke. It was generally safe on block and whatnot. So making it even a faster, 2 frame faster. Actually, is that even 2 frame? Hold on, that's 22. 1, 2, 3. That's 3 frame faster. Yeah, they did 2 frames. I'm like, cool. 3 frames. I'm like, oh, that's cake. Okay, I'm not gonna say cake, but that's good. I think that's really good, really freaking good. Actually, that means Anre can really use this as a reactionary check for anti-zoning, and this on counter hit does either allow Anre to either, well, one, you can either just do the explosion so you can get a hard knockdown and go for neutral, or if you're like mid screen and you get a counter hit on the first Rakshasa hit, they're stunned for a bit that you can do stuff, that you can probably get some stuff going. So I think that's really nice. Like if there was something I wanted above, I definitely would prefer Rakshasa getting the buff, because that's the move that I will personally like to use more, because I wanted to play more of a zoning game, and Rakshasa was that zoning tool. And Rakshasa lateral, so the other end, no longer negates projectiles from you abilities. Yeah, I'm gonna admit I felt that was way too strong. Like it doing that, I felt was ridiculous. It was way too strong in that regards, in my opinion. Now counter projectiles other than those listed above. Now actually I think this is actually a lot more of a buff than people get, because when they delete a projectile, that means we just still doing our same thing. The fact that now it clashes with projectiles means I think you have the ability to free cancel. That means Anre can do something else and not deal with Raksasa's recovery frame. I think that is my guess. I would actually have to actually maybe explore that and such. And I know the music is down, so let's see if I can get that music back up and going, because yeah, I would prefer that music to yeah, we don't want that. Now counter with projectiles other than those listed above. So yeah, I think that actually clash with projectile will actually mean Anre can like clash with projectile, and then whatever follow up like certain characters or people may want to do, Anre can do like more of a call out or setups from that. So I think this is actually more of a buff than actually more of a nerf, because yeah, it deleted projectile means it outright ruins some scenarios, but sometimes the outright winning thing may have robbed Anre of opportunities to do other things. Yes, this now gives the opponent maybe counter play, but I'm actually willing to bet that this still puts it in more Anre's favor, because now Anre is not locked in to the recovery of Rakshasa. At least that's my guess. Only clash with the first hit of multi-hitting projectiles such as certain ace skills. Alright, that's fair enough. So Rakshasa follow-up. Lateral knockback has been increased. I am going to assume that this is going to push people more far back, which means it may be harder to kind of close in and follow up on people. At least that's what I am guessing and whatnot, which that's probably maybe more of a nerf to kind of push people to like, hey, play Anre more like a zoner, which again, for me personally, someone who stopped playing because you want to play Anre a lot more of aggressive, and I wasn't for that. That's good for me, but it's not good for people who are playing Anre the other way, which I have feelings about that actually. But alright, in Rakshasa, the hitbox of base of the spear has been expanded upwards. Oh, so they did make Rakshasa overall better for the other version. Cause I thought only the L got to change. Adjusted to making it easier to follow up with far standing heavy. Ooh. So they are gonna make they are making Rakshasa overall better, and the medium one too. Oh, I am the hitbox. So now the thing is, this was rarely used in combos, like maybe anti-air combo, but it was rarely used in combo because how much of the startup it has. Like, you thought 22 frame was a lot? How about freaking, I think, 30 frames? Maybe even more? Yeah, Rockstar had a lot of frames. But at the same time, it was also trapped by, like, being plus on block and standing plus on hit, to where you could get standing normals and whatnot. So it was like, yeah. I can at least understand the logic behind that. And the hitbox base spear has been upward while the foe is in hit stun. and whatnot. So yeah, they're making this. Hey, use this as your combo tool. So I'm kind of a fan so far. What does this really do? I mean, I think this keeps his combo. So it's like they want to weaken his rush down game, but they're not trying to take away his ability to take away his combo game, but they want to make it more of, hey, use your other moves and combos. Yes, we understand that Spiral Sphere was very good centralizing, but we want you to kind of back away from that and have some other choices as well. Alright, Spiral Spear. The damage has been increased from 150 to 200, changing the total damage from 750 to 1000. So that's not insignificant damage, actually, honestly. To be honest, I think that also means that even the meter gain would even be slightly better. So honestly, so yeah, I think the meter gain on Spiral Sphere might be even better because I think it does sometimes go by the damage. At least that's what I'm thinking to myself or whatnot. But that would say, oh, ground hit now launches on hit. So, well, here's the thing I'm wondering: is this a Spiral Spear medium follower or just Spiral Spear itself and whatnot? That's the thing that's kind of interesting. Because if it's a medium version that just always causes launching air hit, like the multi-hitting part, that's interesting to say the least. Launching height on the 5th hit has been increased. So yeah, that's the thing I might have to see for myself. Ultimate Spiral Spear. Projectile now stops at the enemy position. So that I'm not sure how that change full on really works. If I'm being completely honest, I don't know. I just don't know how that really works. To be completely honest, because I thought it already stops where the opponent is, unless it's saying that opponents can no longer roll or sidestep it. Like if it just recognizes, oh, we just got to the opponent hurt bosses, even whether they're invulnerable or not, we're gonna just stop here. Okay, that's really freaking cool and good. But rather that's exactly what they're saying, I'm not sure. Because the only thing I would have guessed is, oh, they made it go even further and don't stop at the max range. No, it still stop at its current distance and whatnot. So I'm just guessing. I'm guessing what I'm guessing is one of the problem I have with Ultimate Spiral Spear is when the opponent, let's say I try to stop the opponent from jumping because I think the move is air unblockable. It will go past the opponent and whatnot because, well, yeah, it will just go past the opponent. If it now has something where, oh, the opponent jumped over us, we're going to start where the opponent is. If that's the case, oh, that kind of that's going to help kind of when Anre one of the bigger issues, or at least lower level Anre, where people start jumping, because Anre is a character who you can start jumping a lot more against, I feel. I mean, Anre does have good, he doesn't have bad anti-air, but you kind of got to be on the ball to try to anti-air effectively and whatnot. Like, if opponents start recycling their defensive responses to Anre's zoning, then it becomes more trickier to catch opponent. And one of the things about Ultimate Skill is to make it a strong equalizer of use your meter, but now we take care of some difficulties, such as either timing things, plus frames, or whatnot. If this makes Spiral Spear be your go-to air option because it's going to always be reliable against anti-aerial opponents, I'm down with that. I could dig that. Astral Piercer, is that what is Astral? Damn, what is Astral Piercer? I cannot wait. Oh no, that's not Fleeting Spark. No, what is Astral Piercer? Yeah, I just don't know what Astral Piercer is. So I'm gonna. Yeah, what is Astral Pierce? What is Astral Pierce? I just don't I'm really kind of confused. I don't know what Astral Piercer is. Arna Bastion, Wormwood Spear, yeah. Raging Strike, Raging Brain, Cav Counter, Rakasha, Spiral Spear, gotcha. Spiral Spear follow-ups, fair enough. Mantra Reel. That's Fleeting Spark. So what's Astral's What is Astro? What is Astro Spear? Holy crap! I don't know what that is. Did I Astro Pierce? Am I an idiot? I think I am. Oh, okay, Astro Pierce. Okay, this is the one. All right, Astro Pierce. So that is this move. Okay, so so that must mean the medium version of Spiral Spear is always going to launch on out. And you know what? I kind of like that, because otherwise you always kind of did the light version, because the light version just was far more reliable and whatnot. So I don't hate that. So and whatnot, and also now this does more damage. So now you actually have an incentive to use this move. So now I always like using this move because it did move Anre forward, and I don't think it was also kind of okay as a. I won't say it was good anti-air, but it was an option because it moved Anre forward. It did have a higher hitbox. So yeah, making this be launches and does more damage. I'm a fan of that because it makes the light one like better as both a confirming and just general poke. But Astral Pierce damage has been increased from 800 to 1300. Damn. Okay. Startup has been increased from 13 to 19. Oh. Okay, so that's a lot of startup actually. But then again, if you wanted to frame trap, technically that's what you want. They wanted to be a frame trap, but the gap between it was always so peculiar, if you will, but whatnot. So interesting. Recovery has been reduced by 2 frames, changing the frame rate from -6 to -4. So now that means he has another way to end his block string safely, which I say safely, but -4 is definitely command grab punish, and I'm pretty confident there are some DPs that's going to be like, we kill you for that and whatnot. The lateral knockback has been reduced while ground bounce height has been increased. Okay, so this already did at least some decent ground bounce already from the Verzusa patch, but now it does even more ground bounce. Means they definitely want this to be a combo tool. So it is without a doubt a combo tool. And for Anre is definitely going to get new combo routes now and whatnot. And I think this might even be quite good because a lot of Anre's general combo moves from, like, let's say Mantra Reel to Spiral Spear, these were his primary combo tools, and they were good and stable, but they did a lot of scaling because they did a lot of multi-hits. But if Anre can do more hits, if Anre can get more damage if he does less hits and whatnot. Like Raksha wasn't using combos a whole lot because of how difficult it was to put into combos, but it also was him damaging attacks. So if they're making it so that he can more reliably get into those, Anre can actually be doing some more damage. And then not only that, Anre might be actually having some better mid-screen damage depending on how high Astral Piercer is and whatnot. Ground bounce height has been further increased on the H version. See, okay, this is all right. So now they're actually making you have a reason to use the different version of Astral Pierce and whatnot. And now that I'm thinking about the change of where they make his jumping heavy due to 2 hits, I think this also is supposed to complement that as well. And whatnot. So I won't lie, reading these changes now more out loud is kind of getting me closer to I might come back to this game. That's one of the reasons why I'm doing it. I just said I'm going to keep this quick. It's not getting quick, but oh well. No longer pushes Anre back when in the corner. Yeah, that means this move is technically less safer, but then he also has 2 more frames of recovery, so whatnot. Also, but if you're also in the corner, that's where we want to be using our H moves and whatnot, etc., and whatnot. So yeah. Now Mantra Reel, this was the most reliable move to like end combos with, especially with light attacks and whatnot and everything. Travel speed and distance have been increased. So this means This probably moves will probably combo from almost any of Anre's attacks and buttons now more reliably and whatnot. Whether that's a good or bad thing, that is left to be seen. I mean, you could have always combo into Montreal and whatnot. Lateral knockback from the first through third hit has been decreased, making it harder to whip before the fourth hit. That certainly happened. I don't remember what that really did, but I'm going to assume that it was not ideal and whatnot. Yeah, I do remember people like recovering mid-air, and that kind of messed up with Anre's combos and such. But yeah, light Montreal, yeah, this might be more somewhat of a better combo ender mid screen to kind of maybe keep some pressures going and whatnot. And we're gonna, am I still really going too long with this? I guess I am. Oh well, whatever. H Montreal. So the other Montreal mid-air behavior has been adjusted to make it all easier to land. Anti-air now launches on last hit. Anti-air. So I'm guessing if Anre uses in the air, he now gets combos, which admittedly Anre's air-to-air game wasn't bad. I wouldn't go if I say it wasn't terrible, it wasn't bad. It was left to be desired because Anre didn't really have much options to use. Like there were times I got like an air poke, but then I did Montreal and it didn't really lead to anything really and whatnot. So now that Montreal now air launches, that actually make his air-to-air game somewhat better. His stuff for the final one have been adjusted to 2 frames, while the final hit has been adjusted to 14 frames. Pushback on the final hit has been pushback. So this does have better pushback. So one thing I like to use was light Montreal in the air to like kind of just like pokes in the air and such and whatnot, like that poke in the air, but like I like kind of like I use it like a dive kick or something, but it was more like a poke when I couldn't use spiral spear and such. And because Anre was so fast when he like did the move, it was kind of hard to anti-air it, and because it was like a 360 hertz burst, it just kind of did a lot of good things and whatnot. It having more pushback basically means like even like they did nerf it to where now it's going to have more recovery on block, but the fact that it has more pushback, at least that means it's not going to be like a close M punish, or like opponents will have to use a light attacks or as such, and if they have to use a light attack or they use some other attack, that leaves room to use counter and parries. So I do think that is kind of neat, to be honest. So they're basically making scenarios where Anre is going to put the opponent in defensive RPS, where Anre can make hard defensive callouts, and this is kind of what I've been always wanting, in my personal opinion, or at least what I was been wanting to do. Landing recovery has been increased by 3 frames, changing from 0 to 3. Yeah, see, that's how I was abusing the move. This move was 0 frames on block. Yeah, it did not need to be 0 frames on block. Like, yeah, it did not be like how I was using it and what I was doing. Anyway, yes, this was without a doubt the superior version of the thing. But even then, I was able to use this like belligerently, and it was kind of silly and such. Now, this, I don't know how I feel about this, because this already has a lot of startup. So this going from 1 frame to a -3, I'm not sure how I feel about this one getting the nerf back personally, because it had a lot of startup to, not a lot, but it had such a start that any person who was on the ball could recognize, oh, this is what they're doing. But then again, the counterplay was also tricky because it was delay, it did hits and whatnot. So maybe they felt it still needed to be travel speed and distance has been increased. Okay, now depending how this is, I may be more okay with this being negative. If I'm being honest, I will need to see that in action. H Montreal landing recovery has been increased by 6 frames, changing frame rates from 3 to 4. Now this I still think Anre might still get maybe some combos off of this or something, or I'm not sure, but again, something I need to see. Air Montreal has been block stun has been increased by 3 frames. So this move is even just more plus on block, which is good because this move kind of had a little to no purpose outside of combos. Push back on mid-air block has been increased. Anre now decelerates when block. This is increase the distance from the fall when blocked mid-air. Okay, fair enough. Now, Fleeting Spark. I've been wanting to get this. The startup has been reduced from 29 to 21? Oh, hold up. Fleeting Spark is faster? Hold on. Well, sorry. Is this the follow-up of the attack, or like the parry frames have been reduced from frame 3 to 14, from 3 to 11. The travel speed and distance prior to the strike has been increased and whatnot. So I'm kind of interested. Like, I'm not sure how to gauge this, but in my mind, it's telling me light parry is much faster. Which, if that's the case, fucking great. But then at the same time, the parry frames aren't necessarily. Well, here's the thing: the parry frames. There's a difference between startup and the parry frames. So it's a little. Well, no. Sorry, no. I think it is still frame 3. So it's still frame 3. I guess the. No, is this a nerf? But it's saying startup, so I'm not quite reading. I'm not sure how to quite read this, because at the end of the day, it was still a 3-frame parry. Except whatnot. I think the only thing I can guess, I guess what I'm guessing is the follow-up afterwards comes out faster. That's kind of where I'm at the least. The follow-up is faster. Which, actually is good, because that means Anre will be able to contest a lot more things mid-screen and whatnot. Like, one of the reasons why medium parry was used a lot over the light one, because the medium parry had a much more faster basically initial attack animation and whatnot. But now they're saying this one travels the travel speed and distance prior to the strike has been increased. So yeah, if the travel speed is much faster, this basically means Anre may have something to parry, a 3-frame parry to contest things mid-screen, which once again leads more into him being a stronger with punish character that they're kind of leaning to. And Seven Spear, I kind of already gave my feelings on that, but so yeah, that's the Anre patch. And I guess what do I want to say about this patch? As a person who was a mid to low level Anre who did want to play more of a zoner poke character, this is technically great for me. But this is coming when they get on the ending of his 3rd season. It's the 3rd season. Like, is this the 3rd season or the beginning of 3rd season? I'm not really sure. Alright, the game is at least 2 years old now. These changes are so kind of drastic, in my opinion, that an Anre player who is playing Anre in this well-rounded to rushdown character, this is going to be a major shell shock, which I'm not sure how I feel about doing that to the players who've been playing the character for so long. Like, you basically are making people have to replay Anre a completely different way. And I'm not a fan of that, because that's like punishing the players who learn how to play Anre the way they designed him. Like, they designed him this way. Like, it's not the player's fault that they played him in a rushdown variant and they almost, more or less ignored his defensive kit, or his other type of play win condition, because they made the other win conditions more stable, reliable, and whatnot. You guys taking 2 years and almost a half to kind of get Anre to what maybe you had really envisioned, and now you're making this change to kind of like, I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm quite really a fan of them punishing the people who were playing Anre earlier and playing him in this run. Like, I didn't like that Anre was kind of like that, but I also kind of took it that this is what the game was going towards. Thus, if you're gonna make everybody rush down, then it's just it's relative. Then, in a sense, everybody rush down. Sorry, maybe Anre rush down more than didn't like he did rush down better than the rush down characters, but he did rush down slightly better and whatnot, and that was definitely his more stable win condition and whatnot. So I don't know, like I mean, I like these changes, but I would have liked these changes 2 years ago, a year ago at least, and whatnot. Because this is what I thought. All right, because technically this is how it was in Grand Blue Versus, not in Rising, but in Versus. This is how he was in Versus. He was that poke character in Versus and whatnot. I did say I was gonna look at the other patch. The other patch was gonna be whatchamacallit, the Iron Versus, but because this went on much longer than I had anticipated, we're gonna go ahead and wrap this up from here. But hey, yeah, that's Anre players' current initial viewing of this patch. And what does this mean for me? Does this mean I might be going back to Grand Blue vs. Rising? I have some morbid curiosity then. I want to see how these tools operate. I want to see how these tools operate and such, because this core of Grand Blue is still kind of the same. A whole lot of buttons to play this freaking game. It's still very much a very fast-paced game for my taste. A pace of a game for my taste and whatnot. Making Anre maybe slightly more closer to how I would like to play may be nice, but this is still a game that is brutal in my personal opinion, and I'm not sure if I'm like, I'm willing to explore it. I don't know if I'm willing to dive in it. That I don't know. I may at least do one, maybe 2 rank runs, feel and whatnot, but that's about it. But alright, I think that wraps up everything. I hope everything has found you well. You guys have some fun, play some games, and take care.